and Syria, which are two of the four dynasties that were separated after Alexander the Great's death in 323 BC. You'll see Egyptian Hellenistic and Syrian Hellenistic. Just Hellenistic just means adapting Greek culture. But you'll see these passages here in Daniel 11 referring to these two sets of kings right here. They coincide together, and we're going to analyze what's going on. Daniel chapter 11, beginning of verse 5, we're going to end at the end of the chapter, Lord willing. But like I said, if we don't finish, we'll be able to look at it and finish later on. And the king of the south shall be strong in one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. And in the end of years they shall join themselves together, for the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand nor his arm, but she shall be given up, and they that brought her, and he that begat her, and he that strengthened her in these times. In verse 5, the king of the southern country is Egypt. The king at the time is Ptolemy the First, and he served from 323 to 284 BC. Seleucus the First, the kingdom of Syria, is the ruler there, one of Alexander's princes. Alexander the Great, who was the ruler of the Grecian dynasty, and when he had passed away, his kingdom divided into four parts, which was the prophecy found in Daniel chapter 7 and in Daniel chapter 2, and became stronger and powerful than all of four of Alexander's successors. Seleucus had the longest reign of this particular kingdom. He forced an alliance and returned in 312 to 311 BC, 3 years total as a king's provincial ruler, and 8 extra years total as king. You see the phrase, one of his princes there. Seleucus the First fled to Ptolemy and together defeated Antigonus in 301 BC as a group effort. Verse 6 talks about the king after him. Verse 5 is one set, verse 6 is another set, verses 7 through 9 is the next group. So verse 6 by itself, in the end of the years they shall join themselves together, for the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement, but she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand nor his arm, but she shall give it up. And that they brought her, and he that begat her, and that strengthened her in these times. Ptolemy II ruled from 284 to 246 BC in Egypt, and Antiochus II ruled from 261 to 246 BC in Syria. The wars between the king of the north and the king of the south continued off and on over territory. Now, in chapter 2 and chapter 7, you see that Egypt and Syria are part of the northeast, west, south era. But when it comes to just Egypt and Syria, Syria is kind of to the northeast of Egypt, if you will. So Syria would be considered the north, and Egypt would be considered the south. Palestine is in the middle of it, the glorious land. That will come into play in just a moment. Known as the Syrian Wars, the Second Syrian War was from 260 to 253 BC during this time. And Antiochus II sued for peace by agreeing to marry the daughter of Ptolemy II. Her name was Bernice. The reason why this is happening is that in order to try to find a way for the kings to manipulate themselves in order to be an inheritor to this land, try to find a way to reason with each other to have some sort of family relationship. That will happen later. There was a problem here, though. Antiochus II was already married. So he divorced his wife Laodicea and married Bernice, and this took place in 252 BC. She had a son who was supposed to take possession of both the northern and southern kingdoms, but this particular arrangement would be a miserable and treacherous failure. All this was for mischief, to own land, for the goal to possess land later on instead of it being a consecrated marriage. Instead of producing a coalition between the north and south, all hopes were dashed. Bernice was being uprooted, you see in this phrase, with those who were cause of her coming and the son who would take her in these times. Later on, you will see a family relationship throughout Daniel 11, but it is not referring to this particular group. verses 7 through 9. Out of a branch of her roots, or like a family tree, out of a branch or her brother, shall one stand up in his estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against them, and shall prevail. Her brother is Ptolemy the third, and shall also carry captives into Egypt their gods with their princes, and with their precious vessels of silver and of gold. He shall continue more years than the king of the north. So the king of the south shall come into his kingdom, and shall return to his own land. Not only did Bernice and her infant son with Antiochus II die, but eventually her brother, Ptolemy III, would perish under Laodicea's approval. The name Euergetes, which was kind of like a given name, kind of like a last name, Euergetes means benefactor, or a person who helps people in institutions. Ptolemy III had an astonishing reign in such an interesting period. Avenging his sister's death, he attacked Seleucus II and his mother Laodicea, plundering Susa, Babylonia, in which the old regions of Xerxes that he owned, the glorious land, as far as the borders of India. Not only did he seize Syria,